Yo, what's good YouTube? Today in this video, I'm gonna show you guys how to make a super realistic mockup using my brush pack on Procreate. I'm gonna go step by step, showing you guys the whole process and how easy it really is to use my brush pack, which you guys can go download, linked on my website in the description. But yeah, I'm gonna go over how to make a hoodie design. Let's just get started. All right guys, so the first thing you're gonna see when you open up Procreate is gonna be this menu right here. We're gonna go to the top right, press the white plus, and we're gonna create a new canvas by pressing the black squares here on the top right. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make it 3000 by 3000. And we're gonna keep the DPI to 300. That way, when we actually make stuff on our canvas, it doesn't come out pixelated. So we're gonna go ahead, press create. All right guys, so for this video, I'm gonna show you guys how to make a hoodie using my brush pack. So my brush pack actually comes with 60 plus mockups, front and back. A lot of different mockups that you guys can use. What makes my brush pack stand out and better than most brush packs out there is when you usually use other people's brush packs, this is as far as you can go and you just add some color and some texture and that's it. But with this brush pack, you actually get shadows as well, which will give your mockup depth and some realism as well. Not only do you get the mockups and the shadows, you also get textures. So you get high quality textures, and then you get a single line stitch as well. So I'm gonna show you guys how to use this all and make a super realistic, clean mockup. So since we already have the mockup place, I'm gonna use, this is hoodie 2. There's a lot of hoodies you can choose from my brush pack. But for this design, we're gonna use hoodie 2 here. So I'm gonna go ahead and center this hoodie. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna duplicate our layer here and we're gonna add color. This will be our color layer. So what we're gonna do is just gonna drag and drop color and our whole layer should be filled with color. Next, we're gonna go to the lasso tool on the top left. We're gonna select the canvas and we're gonna go to invert and copy and paste. That way, on our new layer, it's just going to be a colored hoodie and we don't have to go in and color every single part individually. After we have our colored hoodie, we're gonna move this layer to the top and now we're gonna add a new layer. Now we're gonna change our brush color to black and we're going to add our texture here. So I'm gonna use the fabric texture 1 here. And I'm just gonna color in, so you see. Now I'm gonna add a clipping mask. That way that texture doesn't bleed onto our canvas. Next, to give it a little bit more realism, I'm gonna go to the embroidered texture here and I'm gonna add it to the cuffs and hems of the hoodie. That way it gives us a more realistic look. So I'm just gonna go ahead and color that in. And now we're gonna go to our erase tool and we're just gonna erase the excess. All right, after we erase the excess and everything, we should be left with this. I'm actually gonna turn down the opacity on this layer just so it only pops up a little bit. You can turn down the opacity by tapping on the layer with 2 fingers, by the way. So now that we're left with this, we're gonna add our shadows, which will give our hoodie design more depth and realism. You're about to see how much more realistic it gets once we add these shadows. So we're gonna go add our new layer, go to our shadow brush pack, and we're gonna select hoodie 2, the front, because that's the hoodie we're using. And we're just gonna tap on the screen, as so, and we're just gonna center it onto our canvas. And as you can see, it's already looking way more realistic and has way more depth. So now what we're gonna do is add a clipping mask to our shadow layer. That way the shadows don't bleed onto the canvas. Now it's still looking a little bit flat. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some texturing. So we're gonna add texture to our mockup. So we're gonna add a new layer above our fabric layers. And we're gonna use the cotton brush, which is an organic. And we're just gonna tap all over our hoodie, as so. Just to give it a little bit extra texture. Now we're gonna turn down the opacity by clicking on the layer with 2 fingers. Now you have a pretty realistic mockup that you can now use. Now it's time to add our designs. So for this hoodie, the first design I wanna add are some fabric stitch lines on the sleeves. So to do this, we're gonna add a new layer. We're gonna change our brush color to red because I want the lines to be red. We're gonna go to painting. We're gonna use the round brush here. And I'm just gonna draw a curved line right on the sleeve. I'm gonna add 3 lines, I think. And I think I'm pretty happy with that line. So I'm gonna duplicate the layer and add a line right next to it. I'm gonna do the same thing again, add it on the other side. Now we have some lines on our sleeves. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna merge down these 3 lines here. So now I'm just gonna go in and erase it. So it just stops here. Now that I have my 3 lines here, the next thing I wanna do is I'm gonna add a texture. So I'm gonna go press add a new layer above it. Then I'm gonna change my brush color to black. Denim texture, I'm gonna use denim texture 2 for this. And I'm just gonna color right over it. Now, if we look closely, the texture looks pretty big on the lines. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to the top left arrow. I'm gonna shrink down the texture just a little bit. So now that we have that, we're just gonna add a clipping mask here. Now our lines are a little too dark. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the magic wand on the top left. I'm gonna go to brightness. I'm just gonna turn up the brightness of the texture here. It's still looking a little bit flat. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the colored red lines. I'm gonna go to the magic wand. I'm gonna go to hue, saturation, and brightness. I'm gonna turn up the saturation. Now we have some textured lines here on the sleeves. Next thing we're gonna do to make it a little bit more realistic, we're gonna add shadows here. So I'm gonna merge down our texture layer to the lines here. And now I'm gonna duplicate it. I'm gonna go to the bottom one that we just duplicated. And then I'm gonna go to hue, saturation, and brightness. I'm gonna turn the brightness all the way down for this one. Now I'm gonna go to the Gaussian blur. I'm gonna turn it up just a little bit. I'm gonna just turn down the opacity on our shadow layer just a little bit as well. Just so it only slightly shows. After we do that, we can merge down these two. We can go in and erase this excess because the lines are on the sleeve, so it wouldn't be on this part of this hoodie. Now what we can do is we're gonna add it to the other side. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna duplicate the line layer. We're gonna go to the top left arrow here. We're gonna flip it horizontally. We're just gonna add it here to the other side. And there we go. Now we have lines on each side. Now we're gonna merge down the 2 layers, and we're gonna move this layer here to below our shadow layer. So there we go. Now we have fabric lines on each side of the hoodie. Now the next thing I want to do is I actually want to add a zipper to this hoodie. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the very top and I'm going to add a new layer, and I'm actually going to use my other brush pack called the stitching brush pack, which comes with all these different stitch lines that you guys can use here. But for the zipper, I'm actually just gonna use the single stitch. So to do this, I'm actually gonna turn on symmetry. To do this, we're gonna go to the wrench on the top left. We're gonna go to canvas. We're gonna go to drawing guide. And we're just gonna turn on symmetry. Now that we have symmetry on this layer, everything we do on one side will happen to the other. So I'm gonna just use the stitching line here. I'm going to draw it here, and this is where our zipper is going to be. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. Now we're going to add our actual zipper. All right, so this zipper here, you guys can actually use as well for free. It's going to be on my Discord in free assets. Anyone can go and download this zipper asset here, but I'm going to add it here to my hoodie, and there we go. Now we have a more realistic zipper. All right, now the next thing we're gonna do is actually add my design. All right, so I've actually gone ahead and made a design for this video. If you guys wanna learn how to make designs, I have a video on that as well. I'll link it in the description so you guys can learn how to make graphics like this. But I've changed the background color just so you guys can see the design a little bit better. But this is the design I'm gonna put on the hoodie here. So I'm just gonna center it right here on the middle. So after I center it on the middle, I'm actually going to move it down below our texture layer. That way the texture actually shows on the actual design itself here. I'm gonna add another graphic here on the pocket. I'm gonna add some random number like 77 here. I'll just add it here on the pocket. I'm just gonna change the font. Now I'm just gonna change the color as well to white. There we go. That's our design on our hoodie. Now, obviously, I could just leave it here and be done with it, but I still think it's a little bit bland. It's still missing stuff. So what I'm gonna do is add some cracked vintage effects to the graphics. I'm gonna show you guys how I do it. So I'm gonna go to my eraser tool here, and we're gonna use my other brush pack called the distress pack here. You get all these cracked vintage effects that you can add to your graphics. So I'm gonna just go ahead and just add it to our designs. So I'm gonna go and just randomly just start adding some vintage effects to my design here. There we go. Now the design is done. Now I obviously could leave it here for this mock-up and it'll be good, but I want to give it some extra realism. So the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna give it some wrinkles to really give it that extra realism. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to stack this wrinkle texture, which you guys can also go download on my Discord for free. I have this wrinkle texture, anyone can use it. Just join my Discord, go to free assets. You guys can download all these assets that I'm using here. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna stack the textures on the hoodie like so. I'm just gonna merge it down here. Now I'm gonna put the wrinkle texture right above the fabric texture. And then I'm gonna go to the blend modes here and I'm gonna scroll all the way up to multiply. And there we go. As you can see, our hoodie is looking way more realistic with these wrinkle textures. Now there is like a solid line in the middle because of the picture. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the erase tool and we're gonna go to airbrushes. I'm gonna use soft blend brush here. I'm just gonna erase those lines just so it blends in a little bit better. And up top on the hood too. And there we go. That's how you guys make a super realistic mock-up using my brush packs, which you guys can go download, linked in the description on my website. Let me know what other tutorials you guys want to see on how to make mock-ups or anything to do with clothing brands. I hope this video helps you guys to design better and smarter. That's how you make a super realistic mock-up in like under 10 minutes with my brush pack. Hope you guys enjoy. Peace.